I remember I had a Mexican friend and she asked me, what is the difference between good and wood? And I was surprised, like, what? Obviously, she was talking about the pronunciation of good and wood. I was very confused. It was only later that I found out that speakers of Spanish may confuse the pronunciation of good and wood, or at least they may find it challenging to pronounce the two, or even maybe to distinguish the two when they hear them. So I thought about this a bit. I could provide some clarification. Hopefully it can be useful. Okay, so in Spanish you have the letter W, and if you stick to Mexican Spanish, the name is W, and it is likely to have one of these three pronunciations. Now I'm going to only focus on the pronunciation of W. An example for this is hueso means bone. Also you have huevo, which means egg. In these words, this HU combination stands for the sound W. Probably the most famous word in which you have W is Chihuahua, the dog. So there is a state in Mexico which is Chihuahua, but the word Chihuahua in English, it's primarily associated with the dog. So my point is, if you don't know how to spell this word, you might think it's Chihuahua, but it's not. And the reason for that is the HU combination in Spanish is a pronounced W, right? Chihuahua. And traditionally, this symbol didn't exist in Spanish, right? It's used more recently, especially when they borrow words from other languages like English or maybe sometimes German. Okay, now that's why when they started writing the Nahuatl language, in which the sound W is common, they use HU. But apparently there is a simplified version of the Nahuatl alphabet in which they use W instead of HU. So basically this shows that the sound W can be pronounced and is pronounced in Spanish, but it's not one of the primary sounds. This sound, to a Spanish-speaking ear, at least to a Mexican, is very similar to the sound G. Okay, now we have to know why. We have to analyze why. So obviously the sound G also exists in Spanish, like G. This letter G, which in Spanish is pronounced G, and has three possible sounds, G, G, and intervocalically something like Re. And I'm going to focus only on the first two sounds. Why? Because they have similarities with W and they're the source of confusion for wood or good. Now I'm going to give examples of both. I'm trying to show when these sounds actually in Spanish become similar and hence the source of confusion in English words. The letter G in Spanish, it's pronounced in G and it has three possible sounds. G as in guitarra, which means guitar. It can be pronounced like G as in genial, which means cool, brilliant. And it can be pronounced as the voiced velar fricative. So it's basically the voiced version of itself, which is G. So in genial, it's voiceless. In agua, like it can be pronounced agua, but in very rapid speech, it might be pronounced agua. But in the word agujero, this is intervocalic. So generally speaking, in intervocalic, it can be. So it's spirantized, fricativized. It means the voiced velar plosive becomes voiced velar fricative intervocalically in Spanish. So as in the example, agujero, which means hole. Now, where does this take us? Now we go back to good or wood. The sound wa. It doesn't matter in what language. Is a double articulated voiced labial velar approximant. When we say double articulated, it means the degree of stricture between the lips and between the velum and the tongue are the same and they take place at the same time. So you use your lips and you use your velum and tongue at the same time with the same amount of stricture to pronounce the sound wa in a voiced manner, voiced labial velar approximant. So this kind of approximately shows that. You see in the velum, there is this approximation, and in the lips at the same time. So you let the air through. If you try this yourself, you will pronounce the sound wa. Now, if you go back to the sound G or G or G, the name is G in English, and you look at the chart, it is also a velar sound and it's also voiced. For W, it's a labial velar and it's voiced. Now, for G, it's a voiced velar plosive. The lips are spread. You see the difference now? Now, if you look at the word good and transcribe it in English, good, and then you do would, and then considering that in Spanish, the ra, which is fricative, and what is the difference between the fricative? So the ra in Spanish, ra is an allophone of ga. It is the intervocalic allophone of ga. It is fricative, which is closer to the approximant W. So in the Spanish speaking mind, ga is close to W because it has a version which is a ra, which is fricative, which is very close to approximant, which is what this is. If you pronounce would and you do not approximate both of your lips, you might end up pronouncing something like a hood or a good. Okay, now try to pronounce good without bringing your lips close to each other. Good, good. So in that struggle, if you're a Spanish speaker and you want to pronounce would, you need to bring your lips closer. Now do the opposite. Try to pronounce good while bringing your lips together. Would. At the same time, try to increase the distance between your tongue and your velum. Would. Would. It's like a seesaw, like a teeter-totter. If you do this effect and try to push your lips closer and your velum and tongue more apart, you will end up pronouncing would instead of good. So this is a pronunciation of good. Good. If you look at this teeter-totter or the seesaw and you put it here, see this side is up and this side is down because your lips are spread apart. Now if you try to move it to the opposite direction, close your lips and lower your tongue. So instead of saying good with your lips apart, bring your lips together and you pull your tongue apart from your velum. So instead of saying good, would, good, would. It's like a seesaw effect. If I put the other picture here, the W picture, it is indeed, this one is more apart, this one is down. It's like up, down, seesaw. And then if you want to do good, the back should be up, your lips should be open, so the front would be down. If you want to do would, the front should go up, your lips come together, the back, which is your tongue, comes apart from your velum. Here we go. So I could successfully teach a Spanish speaker from Mexico how to accurately pronounce good and would. Hopefully, if you're a Spanish speaker and you were challenged in the pronunciation of good versus would, this seesaw technique can help you overcome this challenge.